Hey, what's up, Slunts Joker here. If you guys have been watching my channel over the past few weeks, you know I have an upcoming X99 build that I'm going to be documenting and doing on the channel. And today I'm going to be taking a look at the Fractal Design Define R5, which is going to be my case for this X99 build. And I decided to sort of just take it back a notch and do a little bit more of a casual hardware review, because the last few hardware reviews I did, a lot of people said, oh, you know, Joker, we really like your laid-back style, like when you do your game reviews. So I figured I would take that approach here today, not do anything scripted. I've shot some B-roll for you guys, so you have some nice hot-looking case shots, so you guys can look at that. But overall, I'm just going to be taking a very laid-back approach in this video. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So let's start off with why I chose the Define R5. After seeing all of my favorite YouTubers reviewing this case, like Dimitri at Hardware Canucks, Jay's 2 Cents, Logan from Tech Syndicate, Linus Tech Tips, I knew that I really liked the aesthetic of the case itself, because after doing my build with the Thermaltake Chaser MK1, now it's like, you know, almost 2 years later, I've gotten away from that. You know, this looks like my first PC type of build, the one that looks like it's out of the Fast and the Furious, and I just wanted to go with something really minimalist, just functional, that has good features inside of it, when it, you know, really like well thought out features that, like, this is here and this has a purpose. And just a case like that, not something that just looks flashy and cool, but something that's functional and looks clean and simple and pleasing to my eye, at least. So looking at the outside, you can see the front, we have a brushed plastic finish. It's meant to look like brushed aluminum, but the plastic makes it so it doesn't attract as much fingerprints, which is really nice. And, you know, it just looks nice overall, and you can sort of see some of the brushed aluminum finish sort of peeking through under certain lighting conditions. Opening up the front door, we got some sound dampening material on the inside, which is nice to see. It's going to reduce some of that noise that you're going to get from the front fans. And at the top, up here on the top left, we have a 3-phase fan controller switch, so you can go between 3 different phases on your fans, as long as it's hooked up to that front I/O. Beneath that, we've got 2 5¼ bays that are toolless, and also a removable dust filter with some Fractal Design branding at the front. That's about the only Fractal Design branding even close to the outside of this case. You have to actually open the door to get to it, so they definitely stand behind, you know, what they're doing here as far as the functionality of the case. They don't need to have their brand all over it, so that's hidden away nicely. And if you go ahead and remove the dust filter, it comes with an included 140mm fan, the top one here, but I added in the second one myself. So it comes with the included 140mm there, and there's another 140 in the back that it comes with. But I bought the second one because I wanted to have 2 fans at the front for the intake, and I think that's something most people are probably going to do, unless you do a front-mounted radiator, which is definitely an option in this case, as I'll go into just a little bit later when we're looking at the inside. Looking at the top front I/O here, you can see we've got a headphone jack, microphone, a recessed reset button. Yeah, I just said that without getting tongue-tied too much. We've got a power button, which does have a blue LED indicator that lights up in the front. And then finally, we've got 2 USB 2 and USB 3.0, and I really like seeing that the USB 3.0 actually has black plastic inside of it rather than blue, so it doesn't stand out too much, and it just adds, you know, just sticking with the aesthetic of the all-black minimalist look. I really like that. Just that little touch is really nice. And on the side of the front here, we've got some nice open ventilation, so you can get a decent amount of airflow across those 2 fans, because with the front solid door, you know, otherwise it would be a lot of restricted airflow. So they got some vents on the side to help with ventilation, and it should be adequate, you know, for what I'm looking to do. All right, now looking at the top of the case, you can see we've got 3 Moduvent covers. These things pop right off with just these little clips on the inside. You just push up on them, and then they slide right off. So if you wanted to take these off to do like a top-mounted radiator or to put fans up at the top, you could. But I'm not going to be doing that. The reason being is it doesn't include a dust filter, so this could be a turnoff for some people, because when you remove it, it doesn't really look amazing because it's got now a big mesh grill and there's no dust filter of any kind, and it's going to reduce some of that, you know, sound dampening that you're looking to get with this case. I mean, that's one of the big selling points of this case, is that it's pretty much silent, or does the best job it can at silencing your computer parts with the sound dampening material. So if you're removing this to put like a radiator at the top, which supports all the way up to 420mm, you're going to lose some of that sound dampening, and it's just not going to look as nice overall, in my opinion. Looking at the left side of the case, we have a spot here where you could mount a 120 or 140mm fan. There is no dust filter for this portion either, just like the top. And also, once again, if you choose to remove this piece of the solid side panel to put a fan in, you're going to be losing some of that sound dampening that you would otherwise have if you just left the door intact. Coming around to the back of the case, you can see the left door removes with some toolless thumb screws. And then also a really nice feature is this little clip here. You can just move this clip up and down to release it, and when you put the door back on, it locks right in place. So you actually don't even really need the thumb screws here. In this situation, once the door's back on, you could just leave the clip. I mean, you could put the screws in for, just for, I don't know, aesthetic reasons, even though it's going to be hidden behind your desk, most likely anyway. But yeah, I mean, I would have liked to see this clip on both sides, and I'd like to see this in more cases in the future, because it's a really handy feature. It's not something you think about too often, but it's just nice to have it, and I wish they would have included it on both sides. Maybe the next version, maybe in the R6. At the rear of the case, you can see we have the included 140mm fan that I talked about. You could also do a 120mm fan here. You could also do a 120 or 140mm rad. As you can see, we've got some slotted screw holes here. Not holes really, but slots. So you can move the screws up and down for a 120 or a 140mm if you need to just move it around for whatever reason. And beneath that, we've got your 7 PCI slot covers, and finally an open space for a rear-mounted power supply. The right side of the case is, just pretty plain, just a plain door here. The one thing I did want to note about it is that the screws on this one, when you remove them, they actually don't come off all the way. So it's pretty much impossible to lose them. You just undo them, and then they just kind of hang there, and you can just flick them around like a nipple. Alright, so let's go ahead and take this left side panel off and take a look at the inside of the case. So we got a big, open area here. You can fit all the way up to full-size ATX boards. You could also do mini ATX or mini ITX. It's got all the different places you could put the different standoffs. It's even got some directions just kind of stamped right into the metal with a key for, A, I, or M. So you could just find where the A's are, and you say, okay, wherever there's an A, that's where an ATX standoff goes. And it also has an included center post, so you don't need to worry about the center one when you're lowering the motherboard down in for its initial descent. You got that middle post right there just to guide you right in. On the right side here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hard drive cages. These are solid steel, which is really nice. And you've got different spacings in here, so you can do different positions for the 3.25 inch drives, and you've also got the mounting holes for 2.5 inch drives as well. It's also worth noting that the 5.25 inch bays at the top, as well as both hard drive cages, the 3 and the 5, are completely modular, so you can move these around however you want. You can put the 3 in the middle if you have enough room with your power supply in, which I'm not going to have. But if you wanted to do like a front-mounted radiator, as long as you had a shorter power supply, you could move the 5 sled hard drive cage or the 3 sled hard drive cage over to the left into the middle of the case. You could also do the 3 or the 5 suspended from the top if you remove the 5.25 inch bays. And you could rearrange them, or just do the 3 at the bottom or the 5 at the bottom, or move them around however you want. Basically, it's completely modular. So you've got these 3 different compartments that you can move around to any of those positions. Looking a little bit further at the inside of the case, you can see we've got some rubber grommeted holes here, which are placed all the way around. Even at the top, we've got some for your 8-pin CPU connector. That's nice to see, because on my last case, it was actually a major pain in the ass getting the 8-pin connector up there. I wound up having to bend a piece of metal, and if I had some type of tool, I probably would have cut it or something, but I basically just bent it. I think I actually used a fork to bend the part of the case so I can just squeak the cable in there. So nice that they have some nice grommeting ports up at the top so you can route those cables through. Alright, so pop off the right side of the case with the handy thumb screws that stay right on. As you can see, first thing back here, we've got 2 mounted SSD cages here, so you can put up to 2 SSDs on the back here. This is something I'm definitely looking to utilize, as I want to remove some of the hard drive bays. I'm not sure how many I'm going to wind up keeping in, but I wanted to remove some of them just to increase airflow through the case. So these 2 SSD mounts in the back are going to be really, really handy for me. And I like the discrete back there, and they look white, so it just kind of looks cool also. Also, borrowing from Fantex, they have these Velcro straps here that are already pre-installed, so you've got your front panel I/O cables already all pre-wired through the case, so they're already nice and tidy, so you don't need to worry about doing that yourself, which can be a major pain in the ass sometimes. And you've got lots of different cable tie-down points, even all the way up at the top left, so doing cable management in this case should be an absolute breeze. They've got about 1.5 inches of clearance here. I measured, and it's just shy of 1.5 inches from the inside of the case to the door, so you can get a decent bulge of cables in there, and closing this big ass solid door on it with the sound dampening material should not be a problem at all. And even if it was pressing up against the door, that's just gonna, you know, help maybe reduce some of that rattle anyway, if the cables were rattling in there because of fans and all that stuff. So just it's just really well thought out overall, just everywhere around. You know, clearance and the pre-routed cables, the SSD mounts here, and just everything inside this case has a purpose. There's not one corner they left unturned where they just, you know, kind of got lazy or didn't finish it off. Everything is well thought out. It has its place. You know, they improved on what they had with the R4 going into the R5. You could do all the way up to 420 millimeter rads at the top. You could do 360 millimeter rads in the front if you were to remove the hard drive cages and the 5¼ inch bays, and also the 120, 140 in the back. And you could also do some mounting on the bottom as well if you wanted to, you know, reduce how long your power supply is raised. Basically, you'd have to get a smaller power supply if that was the case. But without the power supply, without any limitations there as far as the hard drive cages are concerned, this thing can hold up to 300 millimeter power supplies, I believe it is. Yeah, through about 300 millimeter. So the EVGA ones, which I'm getting, are pretty long. They're 7.9 inches. That's over 200 millimeters. So those are pretty lengthy, and those will fit in here no problem, as long as I'm not doing like a bottom-mounted fan or a bottom-mounted radiator or anything like that. So overall, I'd have to say just really pleased with this case. I loved the look before I even ordered it, and once I got it and saw the build quality on it and just how rock solid this thing is. I can't say, like, the doors on this thing, you could definitely beat a small person to death with these things. The sound dampening material, just, even though it's really thin, it just adds a decent amount of weight to it and just makes it feel really sturdy and rigid all the way around. There's not any case flex when, you know, if I try to bend or anything like that. This thing is just, it's solid. It's not going anywhere. And it just looks really nice and simple. And it's everything I need and nothing more, really. So can't give this case a better recommendation. It's solidly built. It's well thought out. You know, if you're thinking about getting this case, don't even think about it. Just get it. I'm also going to have a review coming up soon on the NZXT H440, and I'll be doing a comparison between this one and that one. So if you're maybe trying to decide between those two, you might want to wait and hold off a little bit. But hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you enjoyed me doing this a little bit more laid back style, then please do me a favor, comment down below and let me know, and stick a thumb up on the video. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to see more product reviews like this in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to do all that other stuff, and follow me on Facebook and Twitter at JokerSlunt. I'll catch you guys next time. Ta-ra!